Skies were torn as clouds part way, hearts forlorn in love's cruel array. Time swept them up and far away, into the dark of a lightless day.
I raised the teacup to my lips, noting its subtle, earthy aroma. Ah, the Broken Man. Quite uncharacteristic of you to choose one of the classics. Guizhong turned to me and met my gaze, which observed her from behind the thin veils of steam that the tea breathed into the air. The sun danced in her eyes as she replied.
Is it Zhongli? Or is it that you have grown accustomed to poems that have not aged as well as you?
Of course not, I say with a teasing smile. What kind of student would I be if that were so, to only study that which I don't know? She chuckled under her breath. Her voice as sweet and smooth as honey as she walked along the cliffside. The grass beneath her yielded under her robe.
Though you missed the point of that lesson, I'm happy to see you've retained it.
I suppose that's one way to look at it. I admit in amused defeat, retiring the teacup to the table. She broke away from our exchange to look into the glassy dome of the sky above us, lifting an arm towards the clouds as they drifted by. The gold-rimmed sleeve of her white gown creased at the elbow. I considered quietly as I watched. Somehow, the only imperfection in the entirety of her being seemed perfect still. Her rosy lips parted, her gaze distant as she reached towards the sun.
The moment he first beheld her gaze, she burst with radiance, his soul ablaze. As galaxies greeted, only a haze was left of a world of yesterdays.
When fate left their love to thread itself, it bloomed to be all that hate repelled. I continued for her, rising from my seat. But their destinies now spun parallel, with the tragic end that fate withheld. Her attention was caught when I approached her and took her hand in mine. Tell me, what's wrong? She drew closer to me, meeting my eyes and staring into them, as if searching for something that she couldn't quite find, as if longing for something that wasn't quite there. When she lifted her hand to my cheek, panic rose in my stomach. She was so cold. The sun was suddenly swallowed by the clouds, and the lack of its glow cast a sickly gray over everything it touched. Even her boundless warmth was not immune to it. The glazed lilies around us were pale, as if they felt it too. They swayed quietly in our presence, mourning. The smell of blood-soaked soil permeated the air around us. Arrows that lost their masters protruded from the ground, abandoned. The same weapons that were used to take lives lay purposeless, now that no lives were left. Guizhong lay still across the glazed lilies and uttered,
That lightless day, their love was lost. Even Celestia could feel its cost. Colors went dim, and warmth went frost. The galaxies met, and finally crossed.
Guizhong, I pleaded. I glanced at the wound, which had long since stopped bleeding, but had gone past repair.
You never managed to solve the first puzzle I gave you.
She afforded me a weak smile, and though it pained me, I tried to return it, smiling past the misfortune, ignoring the sound of my dreams as they shattered. With the last bit of strength she had, she whispered,
You must not forget what I taught you, Zhongli.
I opened my eyes. I would not have noticed the warmth of tears on my cheek had I not been surrounded by the brutal cold of that dream. For many minutes, I lay motionless in the feeling of that same relentless ache I felt when I lost her. I raise a hand to the ceiling, longing to feel her again, to hear her honey-sweet voice, to create memories that could not be bound by time. My heart ached in desperation, wishing for her impossible return, while the poem played back like a record in my mind. I close my eyes again. The yearning's worth of 1,000 years was reduced to a tale for passing ears. As the stories were told, some say they still hear the desolate sound of the broken man's tears.